No kidding. Oh, I was supposed to change the view too, and I didn't do that yet. Let me do that.
Okay.
I like people to figure out that I don't know what the hell I'm doing because it gives encouragement to other people who don't know what the hell they're doing too.
Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mark Isaac Putter Presents. I actually have a network of 4 shows, so I never know which show I'm actually doing. But today we're visiting with Kurt, whose last name is going to be how do you say it again?
Roskopf.
Roskopf.
Yeah.
So the Q is silent, huh?
The Q, yeah. The Q
There's
is
no
silent.
Q. There's no
It,
Q. So
it's so silent you can't even see it.
right. So, folks, I'm going to put a couple of full disclaimers in here that I always put in anyway, and I got to work on my timer too. You guys have gotten to know me over the years, and I'm just ridiculous. I am a disabled person, and I'm disabled in many different ways. I have 5 pieces to my mental illness diagnosis, which are, if I can remember them, I don't ever remember them all together, but let's see, what are they? Okay, I got my timer going. PTSD from being a rape survivor. And I do all this not to be phantasmagorical. I do this because there's other people out there who aren't willing to share their disabilities. And I'm operating from the belief that sharing my disabilities with you openly, and I've been doing it for 20 years, so I'm sort of blasé about it now, but doing it to me helps someone else out there who would be made more healthy by sharing to actually decide to go ahead and share it, even if it's within the privacy of a therapist. And the other thing, and I'm sorry to upstage your first show, but we'll do a bunch of shows, Kurt. I shouldn't be talking so much. Uh, anyway, maybe I'll do it all later. I feel embarrassed. Kurt, tell us about yourself as a human being. The rumor is that you are a human being. Where'd you grow up? What kind of education do you have? And especially what made you decide to be in these two nonprofit organizations? What brought you to that?
Well, I'm here in Milwaukee. I was born in Milwaukee, grew up just a couple blocks from where I'm sitting right now. And, so I ended up with parents that were in Lions and Lioness, Knights of Columbus, Ladies of Columbus.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
kind of, ended up coming into life with a family and relation that's been very community and service minded.
Very cool. Okay.
Went to school in a suburban school, which is actually the school district that I'm sitting in right now. So I'm kind of back to my roots type of deal right now. My daughter, my 15-year-old daughter is going to the same school that I went through.
Wow.
And so actually at all the schools in the district that I went to, she's been at all, so so when I was 7 years old, my grandfather passed away, and this is my mother's dad. And my dad, he took over what was our family Christmas farm with my grandfather.
Okay.
When he passed away, my father took it over. So at 7 years old, I'm kind of sort of real lightly getting a flavor of business and stuff like that. And then by the time I'm 12, he buys a golf course. And so now we're in the golf course business, which ended up being a 13-year venture. And when he got out of the golf business, I branched off to Philip Morris Corporation, Wisconsin Lift Truck, Kraft Pizza Corporation, and Food Ingredients Incorporated, and got a plethora of different experiences. And then
Very cool.
then hooked up with a partner in a marketing and technology based business, and still running with that. And
Okay.
so ministry has always been big for me, and I've evolved into being what I call a disability ally. And I learned that
Okay.
type of thought from the disability community, to be a disability ally.
Okay.
That, if I don't document a disability, that I can be someone who helps build our communities to be more formative and favorable under the terms of people
Right.
with disabilities. Because I was taught how in decades past, community leaders, the pillars of communities, or even chairs of councils or whatever, or
Yeah.
governors or
Yeah.
whatever, everybody's like saying
Right.
how things need to be for disability services, and the people involved in setting up the bureaucracy weren't people with disabilities. But today we see that because of advocates out there, appealing to the administration and legislature,
Right.
that we
Right.
have to require that, to make sure that
Yeah.
they say, nothing about us without us, is the big
Hmm.
advocacy
Hmm.
chant,
Hmm.
in the business of this. So it's a very interesting time right now,
Okay.
with 2.5 months to elections here in the States,
Yeah.
and if you tune in and you think of Americans with disabilities, I'm hoping that everybody is darn right upset at how much people with disabilities are not represented in the political
I don't know if
conversation.
anybody's upset, but I wish they were. And I was even 20, 30 years ago, I was in a speakers bureau for mentally ill people at one of our local, whatever you call them, places that help the mentally ill. So I've been trying most of my life, but it's an uphill battle like so many things, you know.
Now, well, some of it I say is because people like myself, with everything I told you, people might think that, I kind of had it together, throughout my 52 years of life. And I really didn't. I didn't realize it. But it was when I was entering my 40s that I started to really make myself more available to the disability community, including the mental health community, with these houses and so forth that are set up
Right.
as havens, and doing the nonprofit work for
Was
people
there
with
something that
mental health
happened in
diagnoses.
your was there something that happened in your life that caused you to make that difference? Like did somebody close to you become disabled or something happen or you just kind of came to it naturally, organically or what?
It was a community experience. The other part of my life is I was born into a water ski family and a ski show family. My mother and my two aunts performed water ski shows with the water ski show group. And then by the
Okay.
time I was 14, my brother signed on to our local ski group, newly formed group back in the 80s at that time.
Okay.
And we went to see my brother and water ski show, and then I joined the group. And just a couple of years later, they were approached by a disability service organization that serves
Okay.
adults with disabilities. And they're back in the 80s saying, there's this thing of an adaptive water ski. So
Okay.
they approached our club to say, would you be interested to co-write a grant and together to start an adaptive water ski program for an annual outing, in August every year. And actually, this event is one we're doing this weekend. It falls on this coming
Oh,
Saturday.
what's
Uh,
the name of the event?
the Greg Wilkinson Memorial Waterfront Festival.
Okay.
So it'll be on Pewaukee Lake, west of Milwaukee. And, so through that experience and with this partnership and my community work, I got more involved with this disability service organization. And they ended up telling me about this group, 15 years ago, was big on, it's called People Can't Wait. Because in Wisconsin, uh,
Okay.
15 years ago, Wisconsin was having trouble keeping up to with the wait list. The
Mm,
wait list in Wisconsin
yeah.
15 years ago was ridiculous. And so a people can't wait group was set up. And then I went to their legislative breakfast about 12 years ago, and I met a gentleman there who was a self-advocate. And I told him about my water skiing venture, ski show, and doing this annual event for people with disabilities. And he got interested. He ends up joining the club when he has a DJ business. So he joins the club as a non-skier, offering to help them run their sound equipment. So he does that. So he's a non-skier, and I'm talking to him like, well, you're a non-skier, but we talked about how we do adaptive water. So then we go that route. Well, he meets a gentleman at physical therapy, and now he's posing that this guy ends up being the guy to start that we're doing adaptive water skiing and ski shows. And what happens, Mark, is two of our leaders in the club, this club I'm describing that once a year takes people with disability water skiing.
Right.
The president of the club the president of the club and another board member come to me that this is not going to happen. And of their 20 reasons why it ought not happen, the one that really got me was, well, if he skis, then everybody's got to ski because we're putting it out in this public fashion like this. So the next day, Mark, I started the Everybody Skis program.
Oh, very nice.
So that's a little bit of the story from 12 years ago. Yeah.
Very nice. So even though I hope we do 3 shows today, maybe we'll only do 2, but let's start talking about one of the 2 nonprofits that you're part of. And I have to admit, I have a really severe learning disability, like ridiculously severe. I often do not remember who I've talked to or anything. I have to go back and look at the video to even figure it out. So pick one of the 2 first, and then please tell us like what your position is, because I know you told me, but I've forgotten. And then the other thing is like what that group does, and then maybe later how that dovetails into the other one. You're involved with 2 nonprofits, right?
Yeah, I'm involved with more, but yeah, for what we're doing here, we're focusing on the 2. Correct.
Okay. Well, we'll do the other one some other day. So what's one of the 2?
Project Diehard.
Project Diehard. Now, what does that mean? Is that it's a fan for movies of the shows, fans of the movie, or what?
Well, I mean, what's at the heart of that movie,
you're gonna take me up on my verbal fanciness, huh? Good.
Yeah, but you're on the right track. It's for veterans, so it's that warrior, type deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did it really come from the movie or not? Did you guys take the name from the movie?
Yeah, the Die Hard thing. Yeah, the
I just made that up, just like I'm always making stuff up.
Yeah, well, you're on track. It's the similar warrior,
You could have called it the Bruce Willis Institute too,
yeah, the founder was actually in an army group called it was a Die Hard squad. Their squad was called Die Hard, and so he takes the handle Die Hard 6. This Brian Gibson, he goes by the Die Hard 6.
Wow. So what's the main purpose of the Die Hard project?
Spreading hope to veterans for the issue of veteran suicide.
Okay. And do you do more than spread hope? Like, do you provide therapists or?
Our aim is to be in facility management to a large degree. And so we're looking to have mission partners that therapists and whatever would be available in partnership with our nonprofit, that we'd be a navigator type service, that when people are at our facilities and otherwise communicating with us, that we have a directory of who they need to be with for the service.
I've got about 14 questions from what you just said. Number one, seriously, I've been interviewing a long time. I grew up with Abraham Lincoln's father. So you have facilities, number one, right? You said.
Yeah.
You have physical locations, rooms or buildings or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So our feature.
What happens in there? You have like 12-step program for veterans with suicide tendencies, or what?
Yeah, it becomes a venue to deploy other people's programs. So we're here to partner with other veteran service organizations that have exactly what you're talking about and to deploy it through our locations and the work that we do, but we're a referral source.
Okay, I'm embarrassed and ashamed because I've been having trouble. I knew when in the pre-conversations we had that I was having trouble understanding you. And even though you're cute, it doesn't make you more comprehensible. Um, so what? Say that sentence again, and let's pick it apart.
All right, so we have a base in McCann, Illinois, and it's an
So
extended,
it's a building, a headquarters, a
yeah.
physical
So
building.
yeah, it's a building that is an extended stay facility. So a veteran can stay a night to a year with their families if they have a family. So a veteran and their families can stay for a night to a year. And in their stay at our facility, they can get all these services you're talking about.
Okay, and one of the things you all do is you rent out your main room to other veteran-related nonprofits.
Correct. If it's a nonprofit, they can just use it. Yeah.
Well, is it veteran-only nonprofits or is it any nonprofit?
Any nonprofit can use it with, staying within our mission of serving veterans. It needs to be that they're showing their program is effective for our veterans.
So in other words, so if a veteran was going to stay there with his family for say, or her family for a year, they would have available to them in the same building these various groups that were renting the main room and giving presentations and whatnot, as long as those groups in some way are in service to veterans. They might be in service to others too, but as long as they're helping veterans as well.
Correct.
Does that sound right?
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
Okay, so go to the next thing here. My head hurts. Go ahead. Maybe that's because my dog hit me over the head with a hammer earlier. No, I'm kidding. Tell me the next. So you have this headquarters in one part of Minnesota or Wisconsin, or I always get those two mixed up. I don't know why they just don't call it Minneconsin.
I'll go to our legislator and ask for that.
Or Minnesota.
Yeah, that's Minnesota. Yeah, that sounds fun.
So what's the next step on the Project Diehard part?
The next step? What do you mean by the next step?
Well, you have a facility. You rent out to other groups that give presentations, and you all probably give your own presentations. And that helps the veterans. Plus, you have a stay facility. So a veteran has no place, can come there and stay with their family for up to a year. Do they pay anything to stay?
Nope.
No. And
yeah.
how do they qualify to stay? It seems like every veteran would be flying in from everywhere to stay there if it's free for a year.
Yeah, if they're a veteran and and we're seeing their need for mental health purposes or to get their life back in order or to make some adjustment to kind of keep them averted from the direction of suicide ideation, elements of PTSD, what have you. It can be a whole litany of reasons. So if we have the space and a veteran comes with a need in this realm, the space is for veterans. Yeah.
Now let's talk about a less tangible thing. How do you figure out? How do you find? How do you locate? Oh, you left. He got so disgusted with me, he just friggin' left. Now, okay. It was nice meeting you, Kurt.
Yeah, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our show. Kurt is boycotting me and the show both.
Yeah, you're transferring your headache to me. I had to.
He got a call from President, who I'm going to refer to as President Harris, and had to take it. No, so how do you Do you have people going out in the community? How do you, number one, how do you find the veterans? Number two, if you interact with a veteran or someone in your group interacts with a veteran, what gives you the first clue that they might have suicidal ideation in the first place? Because a lot of people deny it, even if they have it. And some people, not too many, but some veterans don't have it. So, how do you even extrapolate that?
Yeah. Yeah. In our work, we just go out there to show we're available in the mission of combating veteran suicide. And we just advertise our mission and our objective. And yeah, it takes a veteran. Like if they're denying it, yeah, they won't be using our services
So
because we
you go out and you broadcast what you do. You don't try to surreptitiously sleep over in the homeless camps hoping somebody says I'm going to cut my throat.
right.
Right.
That's for sure. You got it.
Right. And do you seem to be attracting mostly homeless veterans, or you get people from WVHF or whatever it's called, Veterans of Foreign Wars, and the younger veterans groups from Iraq and all that? Do you get people from those groups, or where do they come from?
Yeah, you got the right idea. We're taking big efforts to network with veteran service organizations. And by teaming up with other service organizations serving veterans their way, they know
Yeah.
we're here if the issue of suicide comes up.
So, okay. So what situation would you be in which it would come up? Like, is it one of your groups at your place, or do you do like stuff out at the county fair, or what? How do you get yourself in a situation where some veteran might confide in someone in your group? Hey, I notice I'm just so depressed and I can't get out of it, and I'm afraid I'm going to do something. And how do you get to that spot in life? I mean, how do you?
Yeah, it's a full marketing program, including public events, like you say, to be at fairs and whatever is where we go. And the veteran conferences like the VFW, like you mentioned, the Veterans
Right.
Wars. Yeah, we're going to all those things where we can broadcast across a whole
Okay.
number of veterans to say we're here to help on veteran suicide, and these groups
That's
are finding,
amazing.
we help veterans with this. Like you said, the homeless community. So,
Yeah.
some service organization might be helping homelessness, and then they may have within their community of people with home insecurity. Now they
Veteran.
might
And
be
veterans. Yeah.
under suicide ideation being in that circumstance. Yeah.
Okay. So then, how big is your reach? You're in which state now? Minnesota?
I personally am in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Um,
I honest to God, I get them mixed up. So you guys are in Wisconsin. Your group mostly operates in Wisconsin, or what?
we actually have our administrative offices are in Paducah, Kentucky, and we have
Huh.
a base with this facility in McCanda, Illinois. So you have Wisconsin, Illinois, and Kentucky is where we're physically operating. We have part of our leadership team is in Texas. And so we're using the Zooms and stuff like that, social media. We have a podcast this evening that starts in 2 hours. We're going to be running a podcast to get out there that way for exposure
How
and
did
what
you
we
how did you get to be so big?
well, Brian, the founder, has been, working on this for over a dozen years. You know, so so it's a decade's worth of work, type of deal. And, just I met Brian through a podcast, through a Facebook Live. A
All
mutual
right.
contact
Okay.
invited me to be on a Facebook Live, and they had invited him as well. And so I didn't know he was coming on, but then they
Right.
told me they begged my pardon because Brian was coming on. I'm like, well, who's this Brian? And when they told me who he is, I'm just like, yeah.
Oh
So
my
then
God.
as a result of that Facebook Live, Brian and I talked for an hour after that live stream deal, and
Yeah.
I immediately became an ambassador because I told him I definitely put as a priority in my life to help save the lives of our veterans. That's
And how
top.
many years ago is that for you?
With Brian, I've been working with him for a couple of years.
Okay.
2020.
And
At the
you
end of
you
2000,
guys are working only with veterans, meaning people who have come out of the service, or do you work with active service members also?
we're happy to work with active servicemen and women. We are primarily putting our effort into reaching veterans, and if we secondarily reach people in active military, yeah, we're happy to serve. Yeah.
And do you have a relationship with the various military branches? Like, do any of them say, "Hey, thanks," or "Here's some money," or none of that's
We're
going on,
actually,
right?
yeah, we're in those efforts right now. We're teamed up with actually the Disability Channel, and then we have Southern Illinois University as an educational partner, and so we're collectively right now appealing to senators and so forth for what you're talking about, going through the legislative and administrative route
Oh my
versus.
God. I made a small mistake. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
We ran out of time. Usually I notice but what I do is I make it shorter on purpose in case I forget.
Yeah,
So,
no
ladies
problem.
and gentlemen, we're going to stop this particular show. I apologize for it being so abrupt. We're going to go right into another show. We're going to take a 5-minute break or something. I'm going to try turning off the recording and then leaving the other thing on, see if it works. Like Zoom and I don't know. We need to go to battle at some point. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I love you all very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about people with disabilities. Kurt and I are going to do at least one more show. He's got a meeting in a couple hours, so we might only do one or we might do two. And I've got to look at my calendar. So thanks, folks. This is show number 1 of 2 or 3, and they'll be on my YouTube channel. So please do, please do blah, 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 whatever I'm trying to say. Talk to you later. Kurt, say your last name again.
Roskopf, Kurt Roskopf.
Roskopf. All right. Sounds Russian. No, I'm kidding. All right. Talk to you guys soon. I'm going to click the pause button or whatever it is called. Ladies, thank gentlemen, homies.